2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. GL Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Great Barrington Select Board will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so by following the instructions at the top of the agenda. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event we're unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio, video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive recording of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Pursuant to Mass General Law 7C 30A, Section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Beginning the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recording. So this meeting is being recorded by CTSB, by the Edge, by the town, and maybe other members of the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. I want to make sure I have everyone in who's supposed to be. So let's start out with the approval of minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes of January. Should I do them all at once?
Yeah, unless you have changes.
No, I have a comment. January 25th, 2021, January 27th, 2021, and April 12th, 2021.
I'll second the Mary.
Okay. The April minutes included the minutes of the executive session, which I don't know if we have to approve those in executive session. All we did was approve previous minutes. I have no problem the way it is. I just want to make sure procedurally it's okay.
Mark, do you have a comment?
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to unmute myself. I would say that you should just approve the public session minutes, and we'll approve the executive session minutes in another executive session.
So amended.
The problem with that, Mark, can we just get that we may never end because we'll have to have minutes of the executive session, which we approved the minutes. So maybe we need to.
Let's approve it as is.
There's a better way of doing it. Because as much as I love executive sessions, I just don't think I can do these every month.
Yeah, I think it's fine either way.
Okay. The original motion to approve the minutes as presented here.
And I have a second from Bill. Kate is trying to log on. She's having trouble with the internet. So I don't know. Mark, you can.
I'll duck out.
And say help her because she's here. It's a roll call vote. Lee?
Aye.
Bill? Ed?
Aye.
And aye. It's unanimous. Bill, are you having connection problems also?
I'm in a car, so.
Okay, it's just a little, I did hear you. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, that's good. No problem. Okay. Let me just give Kate a second to get on. Here she is. Okay, there's Kate. Perfect. Perfect. Select board's announcements and statements. We'll start with Lee.
Thanks, Steve. I just wanted to mention that last Wednesday on May 15th, I received a call from my daughter, who is a student at Monument Mountain High School, about an accident that occurred at the intersection of the high school and Stockbridge Road. Fortunately, the driver is fine, and the person that was involved with the accident is okay, although they were taken away in ambulance, I believe. But I know that this is a recurring issue and that the board has repeatedly looked into this issue of safety coming from students coming out of the Monument Mountain driveway. So I would like to either speak more about this at another meeting. I'm very concerned, and I would like to have Chief Doherty on the line and talk about police detail in regards to protecting our students that leave the driveway of Monument Mountain High School. So I
I'll put it on an agenda, Lee. We'll ask Chief Storty, we'll ask Peter Dillon also to attend. And, yeah, absolutely.
thank you very much.
Yeah, anything else, Lee?
No, thank you.
Kate? Nothing? Bill?
No, nothing here.
Ed?
Nothing.
Okay, I guess I have more than one. Bill, this is your last meeting. And I just
Right.
want to thank you for your service to the town. I want to thank you for being such a good select board member and tell you how much I really enjoyed having you on this board. And I would invite you back anytime but the public meeting, so you can come back anytime you want. But I hope we serve on another board together because it's been a pleasure. So I just want to congratulate you on your term.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Bill.
The other thing that I have tonight, which I'm not going to go into great depth in, is the town manager's performance evaluation. So every year, in April, we evaluate the town manager. And in the packet that's online on our website is the complete evaluation from every select board member and department heads. And one of the things we did different this year, and I'll give Lee all the credit in the world she asked for, was there's two sections of the evaluation that really is more appropriate for department heads to fill out than it is for select board members, because they have a better knowledge of those two sections. And let me just get to them, for people who haven't seen. And that would be staffing and supervision. So we asked not only the select board members, but the department heads to fill that out. And I think only two department heads did not fill it out. It was all voluntary, and we told them it would be public. So on the website is the complete evaluation. The scores were very good. The comments were constructive, and I would just ask anyone who's interested either to go on the website to look at it or to call the town hall, and we can email you a copy of the evaluations, the packet. Do any board members have anything they want to add? Yes,
A
Lee.
couple.
Okay, Lee and then Ed.
Oh, sure. So thank you, Steve, for that. Yes, I had been concerned that department heads were not included on the evaluation. So thank you for including everyone. And what I'm hoping that in the next year and the forthcoming years, that we either provide an opportunity for department heads to meet with individually with select board members if they would like to, because I was given the impression that some of them wanted to submit comments as well as the marks that they gave. So I would just request that we make that request, more open to department heads to talk to select board members about this. So if I made any sense, that's.
You did. And I know it's always been Mark's policy, and it doesn't have to be Mark's. You're always welcome to go visit department heads at any time you want. And there were some good comments made by department heads this time. And yes, we will be for next year. We'll pass that on for next year's board to make sure that we do this. Include the department heads right from the beginning. Ed?
Yeah, but I also, I guess, would like to thank Lee because I've been complaining about this for 3 years and it finally happened. So she knew who to talk to, I guess. Or it's always been bothering me because I don't know the answer to how well the town manager deals with staff and staff does. One suggestion, possibly, which we can talk about in a year, is if staff members could submit answers anonymously to a single board member or the chair or someone else who then collates them somewhat anonymously. I don't think, I suspect they didn't feel pressure and didn't say things they wouldn't have otherwise said or not said, but, they are evaluating their boss.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of anonymity, so we will
Right.
talk about that. It may
Okay.
be one of many times that we split a vote, but that's okay. That's what's good about democracy. Anyone else?
Steve, do you mind if I just?
No, please do, Mark.
I just wanted to take a brief second to thank the select board members and thank staff for all the positive feedback. This has been hands down the most challenging year for many of us, but the most challenging year in my career. And I just wanted to say that it was all made easier by working with a supportive select board and with a great staff. So thank you all for the positive feedback, and I'm looking forward to entering year 3 with you as well.
We look forward to it ourselves. Next is town manager's report. Mark, go right into it.
Okay. So I have a few updates to provide tonight. First on my list is a brief update on the Housatonic Waterworks. We are, it's unfortunate I have to report this, we are delayed by a few weeks in providing reports and an update to the board. We had to get a confidentiality agreement in place in order for Housatonic Waterworks to release some information to our consultants. So that set us back by a few weeks, and that's just to protect consumer data so that we're not sharing information relative to a public water source publicly and putting our public water source at risk. But I do expect, the good news is I do expect final reports and a presentation very soon from both DPC and ACOM. So I hope to be reporting back to the board in the next meeting or two with a firm date on that. Next on my list is a board committee update on openings and available seats. In your packet tonight, you'll notice there's a list of all the board vacancies. And if I could just run through them quickly for anyone that did not see or have an opportunity to see that, we have 2 vacancies on our Affordable Housing Trust, 1 vacancy on our Conservation Commission, 13 vacancies on our Cultural Council, 1 on our Design Advisory Committee, 2 on our Housatonic Improvement Committee. And just remember that requires residency in the Village of Housatonic. We have an opening on our Planning Board as an associate member, 1 opening on our Strategic Sustainability and Livability Committee, and 1 opening on our W.E.B. Du Bois Legacy Committee, and then finally 2 on our ZBA. So I encourage anyone interested in serving on any of these boards and committees to reach out to us. And then,
Mark, I just had a question. Is this a high number of vacancies? It just seems like a lot, or is this kind of the usual number? I mean, does anyone know in this board? It just seems a very high amount of.
I don't, it doesn't seem unusual to me. I think we've always had a long list of vacancies. 13 on the Cultural Council. I think that's primarily because there's such a high number, 22 seats on that committee, so.
Yeah, from my experience, Lee, this is pretty normal. Actually, I think it's maybe a little low.
Oh,
We've always, it's tough to fill all the seats.
Yeah.
I think we're doing better than we have done.
yeah.
And the Cultural Council, if I'm correct, someone correct me if I'm wrong, that's the number required for us to have. We can't reduce that.
Okay, that was one of my questions. Is
Yeah.
Okay.
May I ask a quick question as well?
Of course.
I'm noticing that the trust policy committee isn't on this list. I'm assuming that's because it's new or we had to repost it. Can you just remind me so that people can be reminded as well if they would like to apply?
Yeah, that's, I apologize. That's my oversight. They're not in the database yet because they haven't been appointed, so it didn't show up in this printout. But we do still have openings on that seat, on that committee as well, and we probably need to repost it. Last I knew, we only had 2 or 3 candidates, so we're still actively seeking members for that.
Great, thank you.
Next on my list is an update from Polly Mann, our Senior Center Director, and she should be on the call. Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
She'd just like to share some updates on the Senior Center and her limited reopening plans.
Good evening. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
I am up to date. We continue, just a brief update. We're continuing our meals for pickup, not congregate. We're not going to resume that for some time. But we are continuing our Shine counseling by phone. We have indoor monthly foot nurse appointments. That's been ongoing by appointment only, and our tax preparation. That's been going on all year long. Our transportation, we have been offering transportation. We've, at this point, since with the inception of when we took over in November, we've given over 1,100 rides to over 60 single seniors. So, and we've been able to transport 18 of those to the vaccination clinic and to their second dose as well. So we're very proud of that. For the reopening, we'd like to start in May. We're starting next week with 2 outdoor exercise programs. They're very popular, very excited about that. TAP and Dee Foster's exercise class, as well as an indoor bingo with masks, all safety precautions in place. We do have seniors that come in to pick up food. You know, we have a lot of donations from Big Y, Berkshire Bounty, Brown Bag. They come in quickly with masks. We try quickly and then back out with the food products. So that continues. But in May, we'd like to continue the food distribution. We want to keep the meals ready to go. For now, it's working out beautifully. We've served up to 3,000 meals since the pandemic started. And that's now my new fiscal year, March to March. No kidding. So we've done 3,000 meals handed out. And the indoors will be by appointment only for small groups in May. And then I'm anticipating in June to be able to have a couple of indoor exercises that are not as strenuous as the TAP and the exercise, because they'll be required to wear masks. And then continuing with limited capacity for small group meetings that have called and made an actual appointment. But as far as going back to the congregate meals, I just think that needs to wait a little bit longer until we find out. Transportation, we require, if they are not vaccinated and they don't wear a mask, we can only take one person at a time. We immediately offered registration and rides for all of our riders to get vaccinated. So as far as I know, I believe almost all of them have been fully vaccinated, and we can take up to 4 in our larger van. So I'm going to continue what we're doing with transportation, with possibly adding 1, possibly 2 other riders in our large van. And then, and hoping July, August, hopefully we can go back to more venues, indoors, performances and meals. So that's what I have tonight.
Thank you, Polly. Any questions?
A quick question. Is there a, for the indoor activities, I think bingo is the one coming up. Do you have a vaccine mandate or do you just the masks?
I just the mask. I know all of them have been vaccinated, so I just kind of leave it up to people's judgment and just requiring the masks.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Polly. I know this is, since the pandemic started, your job became even harder than it was. So, and you've been very successful, and we appreciate that.
Thanks, Polly. Continuing on my list, gazebo lighting. This was a conversation we started last meeting. I think Lee brought it up and asked if we could figure out a way to have the lights turned on in the gazebo for outdoor dining, especially as spring and summer approach here. And I just wanted to let the board know and the public know that we have an electrical contractor starting within a week or so to install the lights on Railroad Street, the festive lighting for our outdoor dining program. And those will also be on a timer. So we asked that the electrical contractor also put the lights in the bandstand, the gazebo, on a timer as well. So for now, we'll probably have them on from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. So they'll automatically turn on and off instead of having to do that manually. So I just wanted to report that back to the board.
Thank you, Mark.
Sure. And then next on my list here is a Fiber Connect update. And I believe Adam's on the line to speak. There he is.
Yeah, can I set it up?
Go ahead.
So we've been working with Fiber Connect for the last few years. to bring high-speed fiber and internet to downtown, the stores, the businesses on the second floor, and the residences there. And he's made quite a bit of progress. There are a few buildings yet to go where he needs easements. We're now talking about public Wi-Fi for local shoppers and visitors who are here. So there's just a consistent Wi-Fi downtown walking around. So Adam's going to talk a little about what's involved in that. I just want to point out this is, although can happen quickly, very preliminary. So there are a lot of details to work out, like who's going to do it, how it's going to get paid for, things like that. So go ahead, Adam, introduce yourself. And
Good evening. Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, we've been making good progress. We do have a core fiber infrastructure running from St. James Place north up to right now the end of Richard Stanley's building, and it's prepped to continue further north. It goes partway up Railroad Street, and again, that's prepped and ready to continue and wrap around to the backside of the triplex and the triplex shops. On the east side of the street, we run from the bank, forgive me, is that Lee Bank on the south side of, down to Berkshire Block, with the exception of, I think, 2 buildings on that side. So having that infrastructure in place, we are happy to donate infrastructure to support Wi-Fi in the downtown area. And we're happy to install it, backhaul it, and maintain it, as long as we can figure out how to pay for the initial hardware costs to do it.
so let me jump in here and just say that so far, all of this infrastructure has been put in and all of the services been put in and hasn't cost taxpayers anything. FiberConnect's done the investment, and then people who use it are paying for it as they use it. There will be required some amount, again, we're working on all of that, but some amount of money for the hardware for the public Wi-Fi, and there could be some combination of, landlords paying for it, businesses. Again, this is the details we have to work out. The town has a couple of buildings, the town may pay for some. So that's, the budget is yet to come.
But just for a rough timeline, are we talking a year, 2 years, 6 months? I mean, obviously, depending on money, but just
So
well.
go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, it's largely a funding issue. I mean, most of the infrastructure is in place. The way the system is designed, there's sort of a phase 1, which covers the areas where we currently have the fiber, and it can grow from there, whether it be in phases or organically, kind of one at a time as we continue to expand. The installation of it can be pretty quick. Once it's funded, we figure out how we're going to fund it, then it's just a matter of scheduling it, getting it coordinated with the landlords to get into the buildings and drop the equipment in. But since we have the fiber infrastructure in place, turning it up is really not a lengthy process.
So I think what I would ask is, I don't know if we need to vote on it, just as long as there's no objection, is to ask Mark to, have staff proceed to talk to Adam and sort of help nudge this along.
No, I think that's fine. We don't need to vote on that. I think that's the town manager's role.
Yeah, it'll come back to us if there's money involved.
Yeah. I have one question, and that's concerning Housatonic. I know we started on that. Where are we right now with Housatonic?
So we are still working with the 2 utilities, the pole owners, National Grid and Verizon. We got a preliminary engineering design from National Grid, which actually looked fairly favorable. But then Verizon got their hands on it, and at the moment, we're arguing a lot of the things that they're asking us that would be required to do to make the poles ready. We're looking at various strategies to try to negotiate with them and possibly pressure them to, I hate to say get more realistic, but to be a bit more cooperative with the process. And we run into this everywhere. We're going through it in Monterey and Egremont and downtown Barrington and, New Marlboro, everywhere we've been building.
Okay, that's good.
Any pressure you guys can help put on them would be more than appreciated, but meanwhile, we just continue to sort of push through it. And we know National Grid understands that this project, we're trying to get some solid numbers quickly. And I've been pushing Verizon to try to sort of work with all of us and to get there as fast as possible.
So
Adam, if
Ash-
there was a letter to be sent from the board, would there be specifics on it that you would need us to put on that? Or can we just send them a letter encouraging them to?
It would probably be best if I just worked with a point person to kind of explain what's going on and what the process is so that we can best figure out how do we,
Okay.
talk to them and get them to cooperate.
And do you think, since you're already working with Adam on other things, that you would be up for, I'm sorry I feel like I'm stepping out of turn, but could you, bring something to us for a next meeting for us to sign and potentially send to, or something along those lines?
Is that me you're asking? I'm sorry. I missed the beginning of that.
I guess I'm asking you that, but then I'm realizing that it's not my place to ask you. I should be asking the chairman to ask you that.
No, that's okay. Ed, do you want to do it, or would you rather have Mark and staff do it?
It might make more sense to go through Mark. If I can be of any help, pull me in.
Okay, that makes sense.
Another sort of a similar question is the easements, Adam. I know you're doing pretty well getting the easements from all the building owners, or most of the building owners. Is there something we can do to help with the last few?
Yeah, I mean, anyone who has, I guess, contact, the few left are just folks that I don't know. And as we've reached out, we're just getting sort of mediocre response. And I think it's mainly because they're more absentee landlords and, either their focus isn't there or not sure.
All right.
I'm working on that list of the handful.
I'll talk to you about that, and we'll see, maybe town staff can help, at least find contact information if we need it.
I have a
Please.
question. Yeah, just in terms of Housatonic. So it sounds like in the end, a lot of businesses will be contributing to the cost of actually running this. So in terms of the businesses that we have to tap into in Housatonic, will we have enough that this can be paid for, or to move this along?
The getting the fiber to Housatonic, originally when we talked, the town was going to pick up the cost of finding out how much it would cost, and then Fiber Connected, like all the rest of the work they do, they will cover the infrastructure. So the businesses in Housatonic won't pay for it unless they use it. They don't have to pay to get it there. That's correct, right, Adam?
In large part, yeah. I mean, we have a budget, and we know what it'll cost us to construct it, and the real question is what the make ready will be. It's kind of a wild card. We have estimates and a budget based on what we would expect, and that's why we're negotiating with the utilities, because the original National Grid prelim looked favorable, and then Verizon came in and it got a little high. So we're trying to understand why they're requiring the work they're requiring. Doesn't totally jive with what we think should be done. And so if we can negotiate it down, then, it's something that we can, that makes sense, that, we can actually get a return of investment on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have to find some bridge funding in order to make that project work.
Yeah, so I guess that was my question. If it's not feasible, we'll have to find some other source of funding. Okay, I mean, again, if just echoing what Ed said, I'm very much interested in helping. So if I can be of help, I'll offer my services as well. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess because everybody is always so interested in what kind of the next fiber steps are. And since we have you here, I mean, we're working on getting it hopefully into Housatonic, and we have downtown corridor and potential Wi-Fi downtown. you're in Monterey, you're in Egremont. What are the steps to get the rest of the town wired? And I realize that we're not there yet, but I think it would be really important for people to hear what that is. I know for me, I'd like to know.
You're
Like,
talking
how do we
about-
start connecting the people that aren't connected?
So you're talking about borders, border to border kind of thing,
Yeah.
business, residential. So the biggest challenge, well, just so you're aware, right now we are looking to build out. We have applications in and we're working on our poll rights for the Route 7 corridor from right now from Town Hall North up to 183 and then through Belcher Square up 23 into Monterey and then up through Castle Hill area out into Egremont, so to pass Simon's Rock and such. We then have plans to try to go south on 7 towards Sheffield and into Sheffield. From there, the issue, and this is why so many people complain that there's monopolies on broadband providers, but unfortunately the way this works is the pole owners around here are typically National Grid and Verizon. And one of the most costly parts of this whole thing is to get the rights and the space on those poles. And you see it all the time. You see them replacing poles and restringing things. It's been going on Route 23 there by Butternut because of a solar farm project. And that is what gets incredibly costly, which makes it a lot more prohibitive to overbuild the incumbents that are there, right? So if you look on the poles, as around Butternut as an example, you've got like 2 or 3 levels of Verizon, and then you've got Time Warner, and then the MBI is up there, and now we're trying to squeeze in. And the less and less room, then they have to start putting in bigger poles, and we end up having to pay for all that. And it's just incredibly costly. So going border to border when there's an incumbent in place is tough. And the other issue you run into is that their infrastructure is essentially paid for at this point, Time Warner or Charter. And in order to keep their customer, they can just come back and say, well, we're going to do some, promotional rate for the next 6 months or 12 months, right? And so then we don't get the customers we need to make this cost effective. And this just goes on everywhere, whether it's little guys like us or, the 2 big giants or 3 giants in an area. You don't see them overbuilding each other often because of that. Whoever was there first got in cheaper, and they've largely paid for their infrastructure. So we're willing to grow and overbuild areas where it's cost effective. But that's where the big challenge is, and where the town may have some leverage to help is, as new poles are going in, is to try to encourage the utilities to go with larger poles. If there's ways for the towns to pressure the utilities to upgrade old poles and put in poles that will support more of us, essentially. And I'm not trying to get, the monopoly on anything either. You get more space on those poles, and whether it's for municipal networks or, the municipality has alarm lines up there now, which has been abandoned since I believe 2010 or something. But unfortunately, we've told the utilities we're happy to strip that stuff off at our expense if it'll help make room. But the code has changed as to how much space the power companies want and the telecommunication companies want on those poles. And so that's helping in some places, but not everywhere. And so those are the big challenges. The other comment I would make is, as road projects come along, is to keep in mind that's a good time for us to try to get conduits underground while the roads are opened up. It's much less expensive. If we have to start cutting into asphalt and patching it, not only does it make a mess of the road, but it becomes very, very costly. I know when the downtown project was engineered, we had talked to the town about it. It kind of fell through the cracks. And then once the project was awarded, at that point, it was too late. But, anytime you guys are doing repaving projects, you should always think about not just us, but any utility that might benefit from getting in the ground while the road is torn up, or sidewalks or anything else.
Anyone
Thank
else?
you.
Thank-
Just,
Go ahead.
oh yeah, I just question, Adam, you might not know this, but is there any kind of legislation that's moving through the state to try to control this monopoly of, corporate taking hold on broadband or?
In parts of the country, and I believe, I haven't been following it very closely. I believe some of it has been going on in Massachusetts, but there's a process called One Touch Make Ready. Right now, the Make Ready process is very kind of convoluted. The pole owners each send out engineering teams to measure and engineer what it would take to get another attacher on the pole. They both come up with their different plans, and then they start to negotiate with each other to come up with a single plan. And then the time frame that takes, the back and forth, because each utility is subcontracting it out to engineering firms, and the back and forth between the 4, 5, 6 parties becomes expensive. It becomes timely, and it's kind of sloppy. And there's a process called One Touch, which has been adopted in numerous states. Kind of eliminates some of that. It puts the engineering design on a single party, and then it sets time frames that say, well, if they don't do things in a certain time frame, then we have the right to then contract someone to do the work and then back bill the utility owners. Quite honestly, it seems to be met with a lot of resistance, especially in New England, because of the unions. So it's a big fight. But it's a process that a lot of places have been trying to push through. And I believe, is it Ed Markey?
Yeah.
The big broadband guy in Massachusetts has tried to push this kind of stuff before. I don't know if he's actively still pursuing it or where it is. Because frankly, until it's enacted, it doesn't mean much to me.
Okay, thanks. I'll probably look into this.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mark, go ahead.
Sorry. Next on my list is Memorial Day, and I just wanted to publicly announce that the VFW leadership here in town has voted not to hold a Memorial Day parade this year. And I would just ask that out of respect for our veterans, that we allow them to proceed with a private service again, similar to last year, and hope that they will resume again next year. And the last item on my update list for tonight is a fire department retirement. And some of you probably saw this already on Facebook, but I just wanted to mention that Deputy Chief Stephen Hall has retired from the Great Barrington Fire Department after 38 years of service to Great Barrington and Housatonic, and just wanted to reach out. And I served with him on the fire department for a period of time when I was volunteering, and just wanted to thank him for all of his years of service to our community and wish him all the best in his retirement. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Next, licenses and permits. Gerald Polly Lanou Old Yankee Street Rods for temporary event licenses on May 12th, 26th, June 9th and 23rd, July 7th and 21st, August 4th and 18th for their car cruise events at Bogies 935 Main Street. Is anyone on the line from Old Yankee Street Rods or this group? Just raise your hand. I don't think there is anyone.
I spoke to Polly earlier this afternoon, and he said he had a conflict and would not be able to attend this evening.
Okay, Ed, do you have a motion?
Yeah, so motion to approve with the conditions that I don't remember that we used for events last time. Should we work on that or say subject to those conditions? It's really that they're allowed, the attendance limits need to be what's allowed at that time of the event. They stay in touch with the Board of Health.
Masking and safe distances.
Yeah, they follow all COVID precautions, regulations of the state of Massachusetts. And so, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Ed, a second by Bill. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Lee,
Yes.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and yes, it's unanimous. Nicholas Hall of Green Minded Events for temporary entertainment license for Saturday, July 10th, 2021, from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Great Barrington Fairgrounds, 659 Main Street. And I think Nicholas Hall's on the line. Do you want to say anything for the motion? Just unmute yourself, please.
Perfect. Thank you guys for letting me come on tonight. Very proud of Toasted Jam, and this is going to be the third year here in Great Barrington at the fairground. Last year we pushed through with very much in the middle of COVID-19, and we're going to come back to the same protocols in place, enter gate and all that, with our people being behind the plexiglass. We're going to get individuals name and number. Last year we did the same thing. We took everybody's name and number, and we had 0 incidents or outbreaks, so we feel pretty confident. We will have at least 2 individuals walking around as security to remind people of the main thing. And have signs throughout the fairground saying that. We will enforce the no consumption also on properties. We're gonna just with the security people, they're gonna remind people of that also, not to be smoking in public, that it's also the law not to do that. We have 2 security 2 officers for the front gate already hired on, so we'll have them there if anything else is needed extra, and we feel great. I think that's about it.
Thank you. Ed, do you have a motion? We'll discuss after the motion. Is that okay?
Okay, motion to approve with the following conditions. The event organizers stay in touch with the health department regarding food permits, plans for potable water on site, and COVID safety related protocols, attendance, and other COVID regulations as of that date are followed. They follow the regulations for temporary signs, which the building department can help with. They just let them know tents may require special permitting. Generators must be set up by licensed electricians, police department detail with 2 officers. Dogs, if permitted, must be on leash. No pets are allowed to remain in unattended vehicles, and no one's allowed in the wetland areas or in the grandstand or other hazardous buildings.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bill. Lee,
Thank you, Nicholas. Just how many attendees did you have last year? I know this is your 3rd year, so.
We only had 357 last year buying tickets.
Okay, and how many bathrooms do you have? How many porta potties?
We had this year we have five regular restrooms, 1 handicap, and we'll have 2 hand wash stations from there. But then I have my own the automatic hand sanitizing stations. I will have 4 other of those throughout the fairgrounds.
So you have 5 porta potties plus for 350 people plus.
Yeah, I have 5 plus a handicap, so I have 6 porta potties altogether.
And I'm not an expert on porta potties, but this seems like a small amount of number of porta potties, or am I?
No, because we're gonna have them sanitized. I have 2 people that hang out right there, and they continue to sanitize them throughout the day, every time after each use.
Okay.
so let me ask this question. If the event were held today, and maybe Mark knows this, I don't know if anyone's on the line from the health department, what's the limit in Massachusetts for outdoor events? So how many people could you have there at one time?
It's
So-
50 people.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. What was that?
150 people.
So 150. So what you would do is you would only allow 150 in. When people left, you would allow more people in?
Yes, we have clickers that we're gonna use to regulate the amount of people coming through the gate at a time.
Okay.
So will we have anyone from the Board of Health or there just to verify that they're following the rules, or how does this?
I believe he does come at the beginning and he checks with the food vendors. I'm not sure if he hangs around all day.
And there'll also be a police patrol inside as well as one at the gate.
Yes, there's always the two officers, and they send one walking through every few minutes. I guess they walk one through.
So I just want to say, at least to me, the enforcing the no public consumption, and I'm glad it's on your radar, is very important.
It has.
And we'll be looking at it next year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So just out of curiosity, if people have concerns, who do they call? Do they call who in the town, or do they call you, or?
They could definitely call.
Excuse me?
They said he could call, they could call them. Depends on their concerns. I would also think the town would be, for instance, our health agent. If it was a concern about food, or if it was a concern about COVID, it would be our health agent.
Okay, so she'll be available in case there's concern.
Since it's a weekend event, the best approach would be to contact the police department because they have contacts for all staff members, including the health department.
Okay, thank you.
So we have a motion and we have a second. It's a roll call vote. Lee?
Aye.
Kate? I'm sorry?
No.
Bill? That's an aye. Ed?
Aye.
And aye. It's 4-1. It is approved. Thank you, Nicholas.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Julian Bazalian, Bazalian's Fine Foods, excuse me in pronunciation, request update previously approved temporary outdoor dining license from 24 to 26 patrons. Is anyone on the line? I don't see anyone. So this is pretty straightforward, this part of it at least.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? So motion by Bill, a second, motion by Ed, a second by Bill. A roll call vote. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Next, a motion to open the public hearing for alteration of the premises of Bazalian's Fine Foods of their wine and malt license at 684 South Main Street.
Motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second.
So motion by Ed, second by Bill. Roll call. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And aye. Is there someone who's going to explain this? I'm not sure it's the town's responsibility. So I would ask that we table this to our next meeting because there's got to be someone who can give us an explanation of the proposal.
Motion to table to, or continue to, somebody give me a date,
May 24th.
to May 24th, 6 PM.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to table. Roll call. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And I. Okay, next is, new business, the annual town meeting warrant review. So just a couple things on this. We've gone through this many times, so we will not go through the whole, warrant unless select board members ask us to. There are two things that, one housekeeping and one, well, both housekeeping, I guess. One is that I asked at least 3 of the select board members to stop in tomorrow to sign. I will be one of them, so if you can, anyone can stop in tomorrow to sign the warrant that we're going to vote on tonight. And the other is a change, and I thought I wrote it down, but I didn't. Number 17, warrant article 17, which is the parking lot, the infamous parking lot. We are going to strike, recommended by select board, because in fact, we did not recommend it. We recommended that the voters make the decision. So that will come out of there. Other than that, I ask for a motion to approve the annual town meeting warrant.
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Mark, you have nothing else, do you?
No,
Okay,
sorry.
it's a roll, no problem. It's a roll call vote. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Let me just explain. This warrant article is for this board, because we're voting on it. So that's why the signatures have to be in tomorrow. There will be a different board, as of Thursday, as of Wednesday. So that's why we need to get 3 signatures on here. I wasn't very clear on that. I apologize.
And I will be in town tomorrow, so
Okay, so
Go ahead.
count on me.
we'll get it signed. No problem, Bill.
I'll be here tomorrow too.
Okay. I'll be here, so we'll get 3 signatures on this sometime tomorrow. Next is building permits and fees. Mark?
Sure. In your packet tonight, you received an executive summary from our building commissioner, Ed May, and I also signed off on this. And the reason this is on the agenda tonight is because from time to time, we receive requests from permit applicants looking for some kind of abatement or reduction in fees for nonprofits or some other kind of substantial project that will have an economic impact on the town. So this is an opportunity for the board to discuss what kind of policy you would like to have in place when somebody does ask this question in the future. So we're just teeing up the conversation for tonight so that we know as staff how to manage this going forward.
Board members have any, I have my opinion, but
Yes, I do too. If this board or the town decides to give money to a nonprofit, we should decide to give money to the nonprofit. And this, or whatever other exception we would make, this seems like a backdoor way of doing it. So if, I would say a church, but that gets us into serious trouble. If the food pantry wanted an exemption to some building they were building because then they would have more money to feed hungry people, I think it would be much more clean for us to say, let's give them money to feed hungry people, rather than this backdoor way.
Lee,
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
absolutely agree. I think this is, could be problematic, and it does generate quite some revenue for the town. And I think that it is something that we can address in other ways, but I do not think that this is the way to address this issue.
well, I'm glad you two said that, so you don't have to hear me talk, because I agree with both of you. Anyone else?
No, I mean, I guess the only thing I was thinking, and maybe this is something we need to talk to Ed and probably the state, but we had talked about the impact fees for water and sewer at one point, and that was for nonprofits. And one thought was to do a fee, like almost like we do with the taxes on the solar fields, to kind of have it so that they could take a few years to pay it. And maybe that could be a way to help ease that burden but I don't think we need to go there. I mean, that's a totally different thing. They're still paying the full amount, so.
I see someone's hand raised, so let me get Allison. From the Community Development Corporation of Southern Berkshire. Allison, go ahead.
Hi there. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak to this point. I just want to bring a different flavor maybe to the idea of this. The Community Development Corporation of South Berkshire's central focus has been affordable housing. As you probably know, we are finishing up Bentley Apartments in downtown Great Barrington, and we're beginning Windrush Commons, which is going to be on 910 South Main Street. And one of the things that we are working toward is somewhat of a technical term, but value engineering at this point based on the increase in material costs for building. This is a $19 million project, and therefore we're looking at the budget. So the $92,000 building permit is part of our line item budget, of course. And so in this context, I think it's very tangible when you attach this permit to an actual building project. It really has a significant weight in our budget. And so therefore, I would just ask the select board to really think about perhaps considering a reduction in those costs based on the fact that we're delivering affordable housing to the town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other select board members wish to speak? Mark, I think you've heard the select board. If you'd like us to take a vote, we can.
I don't think it's necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, citizen speak time. First one is Jim Bailey. You have 3 minutes. Go right ahead, Jim.
Hey, thanks. As you probably all know, I'm willing to speak here tonight. The sidewalks in Housatonic. First of all, they're asphalt. Did any of you know they were going to be paved with asphalt as opposed to concrete?
Okay, it's your time to just give us a statement, not to ask questions.
Well, I had asked for this to be put on the agenda because I think it's very important. Not only had the sidewalks been built to the very minimum standards, they're also built out of code in many locations. And the idea that we're waiting till the very end to address it is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not sure how to proceed here further. Do we get Ed May involved to ensure that code is met?
Ed May's already working on the project.
So he's aware that there's code violations already?
Ed May's working on the project. I don't know what he's aware of. What we're waiting for is to get to the end of the project so that we have a punch list, and then we can talk about any problems at that point.
Okay, so safety issues, my number one concern here. I don't know if any of you have even bothered to go up and view the sidewalks, have you?
Yes.
Okay. Did any of you stand alongside that telephone pole by the retaining wall as traffic had passed you by? You're within inches of traffic, literally inches of traffic. It was quoted to me by Sean Van Duzen that these are safe sidewalks, and now we have a safe passage for members of Housatonic to go walk on. I believe that if they weren't built to the very minimum standards. I understand there were many constraints of this project, but I'm going to tell you what. This project wouldn't have gone through in Great Barrington. If this was Main Street in Great Barrington, it would have never gone through. I listened to arguments over placements of transformers, color of concrete, color of granite curbstone, placements of granite curbstone. Housatonic ends up with asphalt sidewalks. Not only asphalt sidewalks, but asphalt sidewalks built to the minimum standards. If we're going to build them to the minimum standards, I will ensure that each of those standards are met. And I hope that the town takes this very serious. ADA compliance is a very serious matter. There's many, many issues, and I would like to meet with all of you on site, including the engineer and whoever else would like to show, and I can point out all these issues. I had spent 4 hours on site with a construction engineer, a certified construction engineer I trusted and I've worked with for many years. And he pointed out numerous things that if it was a commercial site, they would have failed. It wouldn't have even gotten that far. It's just so disheartening to see that this is what Housatonic ends up with. I mean, this is what Housatonic ends up with. Each of you are so concerned about everything else. We've got.
So just speak to the chair and not what everyone's concerned about, please. Your time's just about up.
Well, I would like to get this on the agenda and see that all these code violations are at least met, and what we're gonna do about the safety along that narrow portion of the sidewalk. You know, we listen to safety issues every day. Every one of your board members brings up safety with whatever permits. Yet, nobody's too concerned about it here in Housatonic.
Thank you, Jim. Your time is up. We will keep you abreast and we will meet with you on site as we get to the punch list.
Thank you.
Let's see, next is Larissa Yapel.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Cool, I'm gonna try to talk quickly. I have another meeting. I'm wondering if it's legal or if we can advertise the board vacancies in the Shopper's Guide or somewhere maybe other than the town website. I know not everyone visits it as often as I do. What was my other thing? Oh, a thank you to Bill Cook. He's not allowed to leave the Affordable Housing Trust Fund yet, but I appreciate his service. So thank you. And thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Larissa, very much.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? From there, we move on to select board time. Lee? That's a no. Kate?
I'm all set, thank you.
Bill?
Well, I would just like to thank you all for being on the board, and it's been a privilege to serve with all of you.
Likewise.
That's all.
Thank you, Bill. Ed?
Yeah, but Bill can't wait to get out of town, obviously. He's already on the way. Just to state the obvious, the reason Bill's not going to be here, there is an election tomorrow, so don't forget to vote. A quick thing, which is I was not on the board when the Main Street planning was done, but I have been on the board since it's finished. And people are still complaining about some of the sidewalk issues. And, anytime there's a project, not everybody is happy. I bristle a little when this board is accused of ignoring problems, especially in some areas and not others. There are problems from time to time with construction, and they get addressed, and they will get addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Guess it's me. I have nothing else to say, so media time. I see no hands coming up. So by unanimous. Yes.
You didn't mention the number of attendees. I don't remember.
Oh, you're right. I forgot. I did write it down though, so I'm halfway there. We had 6 panelists and 16 attendees. Thank you, Ed, for reminding me. I did write it down. I just got enthralled in the conversation.
Actually,
Please.
sorry, I just wanted to thank Jim Bailey and just anyone that is engaged in our community, because I do really believe in the watchdogs, and I think it's necessary to have them, whether they're in, looking out for Great Barrington or Housatonic. And I just want to, give a shout out to people that do speak up, because it certainly draws our attention to important issues. So thank you, Jim, for speaking up. And I encourage anyone else to really engage with the select board and not to be afraid of speaking up. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are adjourned by unanimous consent. Thank you, everyone.